Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. The brand new video for you guys today, and welcome to the channel. Today's video is going to be a discussion video talking about yesterday's USA versus South Korea friendly. Now, I know for a lot of people who are like just viewers, you don't really care about friendlies, but friendlies do serve a good importance when it comes to leading up to a tournament. The Olympics are around the corner, and these friendlies are going to do a very big thing on establishing who the new coach wants to be on the Olympic roster. So for those who don't know, who don't follow U.S. soccer, former Chelsea manager Emma Hayes is now the coach of Team USA's women's team, and she's going to bring a different level of energy to the team. She's going to bring a different style to the team. We saw that already when it came to like last night's game. Like she played a 3-5-2, which is a little different from what Team USA normally runs. And it was a good initial start because, if you think about a 3-5-2, you're thinking about a formation that's very attack heavy, but also, can get back into defending as a 4-4-2 if need be. Because, you're thinking about how they lined up. At least they had Neiswanger and Dunn as wingers, but this is like the first time Crystal Dunn has started as a forward since like 2017. But Dunn is someone who's also defensive because she usually plays a lot of left back. She also plays center back. She also plays CDM. She's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to the team. So when it comes to defense, Neiswanger, who's also naturally a left back, they both can drop back and turn it into a 5 back if they need to, or a 4-4-2 by just having Neiswanger come back and Dunn stay forward while they have Krieger or Staub be a right back essentially if they want it to be. So very versatile lineup. And again, for some people it's just a friendly who cares, but you have to understand when it comes to this team in particular, this gives us a good idea of not just who could make the Olympic roster, but also gives us a good idea of the confidence of the ladies, as well as what we're looking for when it comes to progression. Because when it came to Vlatko and we watched his friendlies, we didn't have a lot of confidence in the team because we were watching those friendlies. We're going, all right, this team doesn't look as potent as it normally does. This team doesn't look as, potentially dangerous in scoring as it normally does. Like when you watch the Vlatko friendlies, and this is leading into the World Cup, and this is kind of why like a lot of American fans didn't have a lot of faith in the team during the World Cup, because the friendlies leading up to the World Cup, the team wasn't playing in a way where it's like, okay, this team looks very good. They seem like they're on the same page with each other. There's a chemistry issue, and this chemistry issue is actually a known thing. A lot of the players came out and talked about how there's a big rift between the older players and the younger players, and a lot of the younger players kind of like just stuck together, and older players stuck together and didn't really mingle with each other. But there were some who kind of did, hang out with each other. We learned that through Sam Mule's podcast, where she talked to Ashley Sanchez. Sanchez talked about how her and Rodman and Emily Fox were hanging around Emily Sonnet and Kelly O'Hara, who recently retired. So these friendlies give us a good idea of not just Emma Hayes and who could make the Olympic roster, but also, it lets us know if we should even have confidence in this team attacking wise. Defense, we don't have to worry about. This team has always been good defensively. Even in the World Cup, they were defensively a good team. But it was the offense that lacked during the World Cup. And so when it comes to these friendlies, there's only been 2 friendlies, but when it comes to these friendlies, we want to see offense. We want to see how potent this team's offense can be. Not even just when it comes to like scoring, but also just seeing how often there's a scoring chance when it comes to this team. So after 2 games, both games against South Korea, the first game scored 4 goals, second game scored 3 goals. So when it comes to like the latter, which is yesterday's game, we basically saw what we wanted to see out of Sophia Smith and Trinity Rodman during the World Cup. We wanted to see them be these offensive juggernauts. And when it comes to talking about Rodman and Smith and also Mallory Swanson, is how they complement each other play style wise. One of the issues we had during the World Cup was that there wasn't a lot of chemistry between the front 3, which at that time, it had Smith on the left side, Rodman on the right side, and Alex Morgan down the middle. During the World Cup, Alex Morgan was not having a good World Cup. She was missing sitters. There wasn't a lot of chance creation between her and the other 2 forwards. It was basically just the second she gets the ball, she let it rip, and she kept missing. Whereas, these last 2 games, we see Swanson, Smith, and Rodman together. All 3 of them kind of play off of each other, because they all kind of have similar skill sets. All 3 of them have insane amount of pace. all three of them are great chance creators. Rodman is more so known for her dribbling and her scoring prowess, but she's a really good passer. And Swanson is also a really good passer. And Sophie Smith is also a good passer, but they're also all three of them very, very good and clinical finishers. So no matter who has the ball, there's a chance for a score to happen. And we saw that in both of the games against South Korea, where every time Swanson had the ball, there was a chance she was going to score. And a few times that she did score. Then it came to Smith, and Robin was creating a lot of those chances. So we're seeing that chemistry there. And I feel like, again, it's going to show Emma Hayes that, you know, unless she wants Morgan on the Olympic roster for, like, you know, experience and, you know, for that not just experience, but the mentorship potential from having a veteran around the locker room, Morgan might miss the Olympic roster if Emma Hayes doesn't value any of those things when it comes to veteran leadership. Because, you have these three young forwards in Rodman, Smith, and Swanson, and then you also have, Katarina Macario, who's back from injury. That's another thing people don't understand when it came to the World Cup. The World Cup, USA missed a lot of their best players. It didn't have It didn't have Melanie Swanson. She's out with ACL injury. It didn't have Katarina Macario out with ACL injury. And Katarina Macario played at Chelsea with Emma Hayes, so they're familiar with each other. Vlatko made very, very weird decisions by not even using Ashley Sanchez, who was having a great year, and also just his tactics and his ability to do subs was also very weak. So this team, we're starting to see what we would have saw last season had we had Macario, had we had, not last season, but like during the World Cup, had we had Macario, if we had Swanson. I don't think Sanchez made the roster for these friendlies. Maybe she will, but again, that's the point of these friendlies, where Emma Hayes has seen who she wants to plug and play and how she wants to go about it. So in this game, we're again referring to yesterday's South Korea versus USA game, we had three scores, and those three scores were Sophia Smith, who had what I call a video game like goal. A lot of people who don't play video games was commenting on Twitter saying that's a very weird looking goal, and I call it a video game goal because those play games like F24. That's a goal that you will see almost every game, at least once a game. And basically what she did was, the goalie kind of came out trying to get the ball, and she did a ball roll to the left, maintain the possession, then took a shot. So like in video game terms, it's like since someone pulls their keeper and they go for like the dive to get the ball, and you just you drag the ball to the left if you're going to the left side of the field, or to the right if you're going to the right side, then you take the shot. She did that. She did what you will see in FC24 when it comes to playing someone who moves their keeper. And it was a very, very good goal, very, very, clean goal. And as well, Crystal Dunn scored too. Her first time being a forward for the team since 2017. It's her first goal since 2018, because she'd been primarily used on the defensive side up until this point. Emma Hayes wanted to put her in at a forward, mostly probably just to take advantage of her pace. Then Lily Johannes, I'm probably pronouncing her last name wrong. Apologies to her. She made her debut, 16 years old, and in her debut, she scored. So it's another one of those players who, because again, USA, to compare them to Barcelona, for example, they're one of those teams that's very, very promising when it comes to its youth. And this is yet another player who's very, very young, who's showing that the USA has just a plethora of talent waiting to replace anyone who misses a step. And that's kind of where, like, I see some of the older players. It's like, if you miss a step, you might lose your spot. Like Sophia Smith is so far having great games in these friendlies. Melanie Swanson have great games in these friendlies. Robin have good games in these friendlies. Then you have Lily, who came off the bench and scored in her first game. It's like, okay, so someone's going to take Morgan's spot. Jayden Shaw also being phenomenal. Someone's going to, like, you start to see these performances, because these performances matter. You're going to see people who lose their spot. Casey Kruger, she's having a really, really good 2 games. You could see her as the veteran leader who takes a spot from someone who's younger. You might see Emily Fox end up missing out, or just being someone who gets the bench essentially, because Casey Kruger is having a great friendly so far. Before talking about the first game, so we'll talk about that too as well, I do want to talk about Casey Murphy. Casey Murphy had a great game, and we're in that position right now when it comes to US keepers, where it's like, okay, listen, there's not getting any younger. We need to figure out who's that next person. Is it Lund? Is it going to be Casey Murphy? Is it going to be someone like Abby Smith, who's injured right now, so you can't really figure it out? Is it AD French, who as good as 80 French is, she's having a great season so far. She has a habit of letting in some of the weirdest goals. Where it's like, all right, excuse me. Like, if to give you a comparison for those who don't watch women's soccer, the thing of Unana from freaking Manchester United. United's, when it comes to Onana, he makes really good saves that saves United from getting destroyed. But there's always like a goal here and there where you're just like, how the hell did he let that in? Like, how did he let that in? So 80 French is this kind of same person where it's like she makes these really good saves, and there's some goals that she just lets in. You're just like, how? How did she let that of all goals go in? So we're trying to figure out who's pretty much going to be the next person when it comes to a Listener spot, and that doesn't mean that Listener won't even get the call for the Olympics, because she could. But with her aging, you're getting to that point where you're like, all right, we got to find a future, and that future could be Jane Campbell, who won MVP for keepers in USL last year. It could be Abby Kingsbury, but with Kingsbury being 32. You're kind of looking at that spot like, all right, do you really want the future at keeper to be someone who's also going to be aging out, pretty quickly? Because again, this is international play. It's not like this is someone who you're going to like be seeing that often in that position. These people, like, how they line up. Case Murphy 6'1", whereas like Abby Kingsbury and Jane Campbell are 5'9". So from a height standpoint, height kind of matters when it comes to keepers. Case Murphy at least has that build that you would want for a keeper. So she had a great game. I don't remember if she started the first game. All right, so the first game was Jane Campbell, and in that game we ran a 4-2-3-1. Again, Emma Hayes is experimenting. That's the point of these friendlies. We're experimenting with what works, what lineups are working out. I think in that 4-2-3-1, the starting lineup, which I think is kind of, I feel like that lineup from the first game is more along the lines of what Emma Hayes wants to run. I don't think she wants to run a 3-5-2-1. I think you're just trying to, because usually in custom friendlies, you're plugging, especially at this point, you're plugging and playing players. You're not starting your best starting 11. You're starting, just to see who can play where and who can do what. I think that first game though is more of what Emma Hayes wants to like be the future. And that 4-2-3-1, she has Swanson as the strike, starting at 4. She has Sophia Smith on the left. She had Katarina Macario as basically like your center forward cam. She had Robin on the right. And then the two CDMs for that were Lindsay Horan and Sam Coffey. Horan more so known as being, an attacking midfielder. So you can kind of see that 4-2-3-1 being more of a situation where Coffey is the only CDM and Horan is more like a box to box who can get forward and come back as well, play attack and play defense. Then we had Germa and Davidson in the middle, which was a big thing because Germa is the future when it comes to our center back. She's the best center back in America. Then you have Niswanger and Fox as our wingers, not wingers, as our fullbacks. In that game, we saw Tiara Davidson, Turner Davidson. But my brain always wants to say Tiara because it keeps forgetting the N in her name. We saw her get two header goals, and it's like that's a big thing because we're not really when it came to the World Cup and the lead up to World Cup, we struggled with set pieces, specifically corner kicks. So this shows us like, hell, all right, this is working out. We're getting a lot of set pieces now. Even in the second game against South Korea, we had 6. So we're getting a lot of these set pieces now. Tiara Davidson, she capitalized on 2 corners and got 2 goals. And then in that game, USA looked very, very clinical and looked like there was a lot of cohesion. And even when it comes to like the team mixture, that was a very young team. But again, when you think about leadership and veterans, Sam Coffey is one of those leaders and veterans. Lisa Hran, one of those leaders and veterans. But also Katarina Macario, who, is younger. But again, she played at Chelsea with Emma Hayes. So she's someone who Emma Hayes is going to like depend on to be some form of a leader or voice for her on the pitch. So in that first game, we won 4-0. 2 goals came from Mallory Swanson, who again back from ACL injury. She's showing why she's such a weapon and why she was so missed in the World Cup. Again, Turner Davidson had two header goals. When it came to Jane Campbell, she didn't really face a lot of opposition. She only faced 4 shot attempts, and only one of those was on goal. So from a perspective, it's not like she really went through a lot. So you can say, all right, well, is Jane better than Casey Murphy through these first 2 games? You would kind of lean towards Murphy, just again based on just her size, and I think she faced way more chances on there's like one I think it was a set piece, might have been a set piece, might have been a free kick. And like it was just such a good save. It's a guaranteed goal if she doesn't get her fingertips on it. It was a fingertip glove save. And that was just a great thing to see from Case Murphy. You didn't really see a lot of that with Campbell because again they only had 4 shots and the one was on goal. So the last thing to talk about when it comes to like this video would be what's next. What are we go from here? What could we look forward to? I think we might see more of Lily. I think Emma Hayes might put her in more often. And might even see her start a friendly just to get her some more experience in to see how she handles it. I feel like there is a good chance Corbin Albert could also start getting more and more play time. She started the second game, not the first game. But again, I feel like for the most part, that first Korea game against South Korea is what we might be looking forward to when it comes to what our starting 11 would be during the Olympics and going forward, barring any injuries. And at the same time, again, it's only 2, so this is again a reaction after just 2 games. So it's like, maybe we will still see Alex Morgan in the Olympics because it is Alex Morgan, and again, you need to have some veteran leadership. You can't just have a locker room of forwards who are all young. But that's why these games are important, because if Crystal Dunn, who scored in the second game, if she keeps playing well, you can see her being the veteran leader, and Morgan, again gets left at home, and they just use Dunn as the forward who's going to be, the locker room voice when it comes to that side of the locker room at least. But I'm generally, 2 good games. Again, we're looking at this not because they're friendlies, but just looking at them for what they mean and why they matter. And it's not again, because usually when it comes to like viewers, when it comes to the fans, we don't see friendlies as important because they don't really matter when it comes to the result. But they do matter, especially when it comes to this time of the year, because they're trying to figure out who the starting 11 is going to be, who's the bench going to be, who's going to be on the Olympic roster, and things. And these are important games. We're trying. Emma Hayes is trying to see what formations that she wants to run. What is she comfortable with, and who plays best to her system, and who she's seeing in practice, who is falling in line and not struggling at all. And when it comes down to performances, like we could see the next batch of friendlies be having other players get caught up, like Ashley Sanchez could start seeing some time in the next batch of friendlies just to see how she handles Emma Hayes' style of play. But anyways, that is it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. I've been your boy Museum Archer, and I'll see you when I see you out of here. Deuces.